Sure. My name's Danko Jones. I'm the singer and guitarist in Danko Jones.
Fantastic, mate. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Sure, no problem.
So, Danko Jones are releasing your 12th studio album, Leo Rising, on November 21st, mate. What's this period like for you? Do you sort of sit back and second guess what you could have done or you might have done differently, or do you put it to bed and move on?
In terms of like previous albums,
Yeah, or just generally, yeah. Like you've got a bit of a wait from now until it comes out.
we've been doing this for 29 years. There's always going to be some regrets. I don't think it would be a proper band if there weren't, but those regrets are outweighed by, all the records we've put out that, I'm pretty proud of, including this new one. So, yeah, sure, there's going to be regrets, but I much rather focus on there's still a lot of stuff we've done that I'm pretty proud of. So,
Yeah,
in
nice.
fact, most of it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Now, I'm lucky enough to have had a listen to the album before this interview, and she's an absolute cracker, mate. But what I like about you guys is you don't try and reinvent the wheel when you do an album, but you add enough lube to make it turn faster. You just sort of you got your meat and potatoes, and you just expand upon it every time.
Oh, well, thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, I don't really think there's a need to, reinvent the wheel of rock in 2025, but at the same time, there's still room for making it sound fresh. So that's kind of our goal. We're not trying to create a new genre of rock music, but we're just trying to make it sound fresh if there's any sort of goal that you have.
Yeah. So dive into the album a bit more musically. Like here's essentially a rock album, but dive into the musical dynamics of it a bit deeper for us and tell us what you're going for.
It doesn't change. Every album is the same, as is the next one will be the same, which is just try to write a whole bunch of tunes that I like or that we like. I write to please myself first and foremost. If I don't like it, I can't back it.
Mm.
Uh, Um, that's not to say that there are songs on our previous albums that I don't really like. Sure, it's always going to be like that. You're striving for perfection, but um, at the moment of inception, when we were, coming up with it, and it was starting to become a song, all the way into the studio, recording it, we all backed it. We all thought they were great. We all thought that they would be potential singles. Um, and then once the record's done and the dust settles, and you have some space from it, you kind of reassess it or look at it differently. Um, and things come more into focus, or songs come more into focus. On this new album, I thought track 5, I'm Going Blind, was going to be the single. I never choose the singles, but I thought that was a potential, very high potential to be a single, and it is not going to be. So you just don't know, what ends up anchoring the record or pushing the album forward. We've all heard those records by bands where, maybe the single drew you to the album or the band, but then when you got the album, you listened to it, there's like
Totally
two or
different.
three other tracks that are way better than the song that drew you to the band. So, that's, it's all subjective, but you just never know. So the goal is always just to please yourself.
Yeah,
So
cool.
I'm happy with the songs we wrote, whether they're singles or not, or whether people get to hear it or not. So that's first and foremost.
No, now speaking of singles, mate, like to date you've released What You Need and Every Day is a Saturday Night. So are they a good sonic representation of what you expect overall?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I stand behind those songs as like good representatives for the rest of the record. Um, and for us as a band. We've written songs that are in the similar sounding vein in the past. Every Day a Saturday Night is kind of like a stab at a rock anthem. which is something I always try to do on every album, and I only believe we got it on the last record, previous Electric Sounds with the song Good Time. And so every day is Saturday night is kind of like it's uh uh follow up. So for example, Kiss wrote I want to rock and roll all night, party every day. And then they followed it up with Shout It Out Loud. So every day is Saturday night is kind of like our Shout It Out Loud.
Nice. Nice. Now, and what you need also opens the album. Like in the modern music age where people rarely listen to a full album start to finish, like do you still
Yeah.
put as much thought into the lead single or does it sort of become irrelevant?
I don't. We just write songs just the way, like I said, just to please us. If the song
Yeah.
is fast and energetic, that's a great song. If the song is mid-tempo and kind of like pulsating, well, that's a great song too. For what you need to be the first single or the lead off track or whatever it is at this point, I had no idea. To be honest with you, um, as if I haven't been. uh, but what you need, I originally in my head was thinking, oh, this is going to be like a probably like a mid-tempo, mid-album, high energy track to kind of like bring the listener back. If you're listening to the whole album, the journey would be like, oh, okay, there's a couple of mid-tempo songs, but what you need would bring up the listener and bring up the energy of the album again. We've done that in the past with previous albums, so I thought it was going to get slotted in that spot.
Right.
But then JC, our bass player, he sequences the albums. He put it at the top, like he put it as a lead off track. And I was like, really? And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, there isn't any other song that could really like come out, all guns blazing like that song for the record. Because a lot of the songs were mid tempo, especially the second half. So yeah, it made sense once I kind of, I thought about it. So yeah.
And then the press release calls Leo Rising maybe the most uplifting and inspirational Danko Jones album to date. Would you agree with that?
Um, I don't know. It's not as if I don't agree with it, but I don't know. Like I said, I just write, we get a deadline and then I start writing.
Right.
And then whatever comes out in that window of time, is what we were left with and what we can put out. So I don't really know, but I mean, the writing process for this album was long, but when we did come up with an idea, we kind of all knew like, oh yeah, that's going to be on the record. So it wasn't as if we were like trying to trying to like look under the carpet to find any ideas.
So you've got Marty Friedman as guest on the track Diamond in the Rough. Like we all know what a legend he is, but what was the thought process behind bringing him in for that particular song?
Yeah, so I mean, I was on Marty's album Inferno, what was it, 2014? So it's been over 10 years since I was on Marty's album. And since 2014, we've put out, what is it, 4 or 5 albums, and there's just not been an opportunity or a moment or a song where we could hear him on it. And that was definitely like we had tracked it and um I mean I could have done a solo on that album like any other song of ours, but really that space in the song because it's very reminiscent of Kiss and I know Marty gets it and it would just be awesome if we could have like a really really wicked guitar solo a la Marty Friedman. So let's just ask the man himself.
Yeah.
Um, and plus, it was like, hey, pal, I was on your album.
You owe me.
It's but we didn't want to just cash in just whenever we could. So it
Yeah.
had to be the right song. So it took a couple of albums to do that. So I'm like, we're all really happy. The funny thing is, though, we played it for one of our guys in the crew, and he heard the album and he was like, I don't know, track two, man, that's the best guitar solo you've ever done, ever done. That is the best guitar playing I've ever heard. I'm like, thanks, but it's not me. It's like probably one of the greatest guitar players who ever played metal.
At least it
So
stands
thanks
out.
for the yeah, thanks for at least believing that I'm capable of doing that.
Yeah, it's quite a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed there's no song on the album called Leo Rising too, which to me suggests that it might be something a bit deeper, more significant to the title.
Nah, not really. I mean, when you get to album number 12, when you're
I
first
only know.
starting out, yeah, when you're first starting out with your band, you're like everybody's fighting to get their title as the title of the record, and you're like, you've got a million ideas. By the album number 12, and you've got almost 200 song titles. You just want it to be okay, like good, So at this point, it's actually a big headache of ours. The three of us like send emails and lists at the end of the recording, and sometimes it's been to the 12th hour, we don't have a title. That happened with a Rock Supreme. Um, and Power Trio was also the same thing. Electric Sounds was different because that was a song title, and then when I guess they heard the song title, everyone was kind of like, "That's a good album title." So that was an easier album to title, but this one also is like, what are we gonna call it? Like, What You Need is not a good title. Every Day is Saturday Night is a good title. It's just not an album title. It's
Long
too
too,
long.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Leah Rising was who came up with it? I think Rich came up with that title. And it was basically made sense because our first studio album is called Born a Lion, and then Leah Rising is the 12th album, and 12 is significant in terms of, I don't know, 12 months in the year, 12 disciples at the Last Supper, 12, 12, 12. It's a nice bookend to Born a Lion, right before we get to album number 13, which is up next. So, in that sense, it's good. Born a Lion also, like, Leo, it's a reference to, it's an astrological reference. So, but nothing too deep. I mean, this is a band that we don't really think about it too deep. There's other things going on about this band that are significant enough, but in terms of like song lyrics and album titles and song titles, like I find there's people think about it too deeper than we actually do. So
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I'm glad you actually mentioned album number 13 though, because there's people out there that are going to say he started with Lion in the title, now he's got a 12th one. So does that mean he's finishing up? People always misconstrue things, eh? So I'm glad he mentioned album 13, which shut them up straight away.
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, um, every band that puts out a lot of records, if you're at album number 20, not many bands get to even album number 12. So everyone has to cross that line at one point if they
Yeah,
last long enough.
yeah. And as you say, this is your 12th album, mate. So do you think it gets easier or harder to come up with fresh sounding material the more you write?
Yeah, right. So you do this 12 times and surprise you would think logic dictates that you run out of ideas and it gets harder. But actually it's easier than it was for the first two, three, four albums. So it's actually easier to write songs. I used to worry about that. Especially I remember our third album. I just remember I was up at like 5 in the morning going, we don't have any ideas. I don't have anything. I can't come up with anything because we only had 7 ideas or 8 ideas and we needed like, 10, 11, 12 ideas. Now, I don't, and maybe that's just the reason why is I don't worry about it anymore. I don't even think about it anymore. I just write and I know what sounds good. And I know a little bit better than maybe the third album, even though by then I know more now what this band is and what this band sounds like and what riff is going to work for this band. So what I do is I come up with all these riffs, I send it to JC, our bass player, and if he likes it, then he'll arrange the ideas.
Right.
So so first of all, it goes through my vetting process. So there's like for every riff I send him, there's 10 riffs that were on the cutting room floor. And then for every 10 riffs I send him, he likes three or four. So there is a real editing process of riffs and songs. Um, but there isn't any lack of ideas.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Now, you guys have been going since 1996, mate, and you've always stayed in your own lane musically without compromise. And I really admire that about you guys. It's awesome, but it's getting harder and harder to do in the modern age of music. Like, do you find that it's becoming increasingly difficult to stick to your guns and not follow trends or fashions?
No, it's quite easy because all the trends and fashions I'm not really interested in. There's nothing that really pricks my ears and I go, whoa, we should try that. I think where we're on is a pretty good, I get it. It's kind of like as every year goes by, it becomes like an older and older form of music, but it's timeless, I think, at least to a certain window of people. But also, I think with the younger generations, there's a lot of them that go through at least a phase or a trend or a period where they like this kind of music. And the best part is when, no matter how heavy or hard a band is or a band they like is, um, a lot of the bands that, all these younger generations like, behind the scenes and backstage, they're just cranking AC/DC. I don't
Yeah,
care how
true.
heavy you are of a band. I don't care how black your metal is. It's I've trust me, I've seen it way more than once or twice where the heaviest band on the planet you would think is just cranking AC/DC before they go on stage.
There's hope yet. There's hope for the future yet, brother.
Yeah, backstage, like no one sees that.
Oh, now before I let you go, bro, I've introduced a new segment called Photo Bomb. So basically, before we've spoken, I've gone through your social media and I've found a couple of photos that I want to talk to you a bit more about. So the
Okay.
first one is this one. Like
Okay.
that was featured here on stage with Volbeat in 2017.
Yeah, that was in Denmark. That was in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Is that a boxing ring you're in?
It was, yeah. It was their hometown gig in the biggest venue in the country. They flew me in to sing that song, and I think Ross Halfin might have taken that shot. But the boxing ring was because I think they have or had a song, well, they have a song about fighting that's been used, I think, in UFC as well. I could
Right.
be wrong about that, but there is a fighting element to Volbeat. And then for that show in particular, they got this, I don't know his name, but they got this really, really popular Danish boxer to come out and make an appearance.
Right.
Not during my song, but during the show. So the boxing motif was makes sense.
That looks really cool. Really
Yeah.
cool. Now, the second one, when I found this photo, I read the post and you said that it was very special to you, and you can see why. Like, I bet you remember this conversation like it was yesterday.
Oh yeah, that was on the 2008 tour we did with Motorhead and Saxon, and that was in Germany. And I was actually interviewing Lemmy for Rock Hard magazine in Germany, and we had had this thing planned for this interview scheduled for a while, even though we were on tour. So yeah, a few times on that tour, he would, I got brought into the lot to his dressing room and we hung out. But this one was a deliberate kind of staged. Well, it was staged in the sense that it was an interview that
Yeah,
was going on. But that moment, Lemmy's actually telling me a joke.
that's his look of pure enjoyment and satisfaction on his face here, bro. Like it's just a
Yeah, it's
pleasure.
one of my favorite photos ever.
It is. And is that a poker machine in the background? Did he actually take pokies with him everywhere?
Yeah, that machine followed him everywhere all the way till the end.
Wow. Look, did you have to put money in it to play it? Like, could you still win out of it, or was it just something you can press whenever
I
you want?
don't think so. I think you just play it. I don't know. I never played it, but he
That's
did.
fantastic, bro. That's just like I've been doing these photo bombs for a while now, and that's probably one of that photo just gets you there. It's fucking awesome, bro. Well done.
Yeah, Lemmy was really kind to our band and he was great with us and the whole band. Phil's on Power Trio. Um, During the pandemic, I jammed with Mickey for a what do you quarantine, one of those
Oh
quarantine
yeah, yeah.
jams, and we did Iron Fist. So, so yeah, like all those guys in Motorhead were really nice to us, and it was great.
Yeah, cool. All right, mate. Well, thanks very much for your time. Leo Rising is out November 21st. And as I said earlier, it's typical Danko Jones stuff, but better. So well done, brother, and best of luck with it.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
All
Thank
right, buddy.
you.
Enjoy your day.